The question of reality. Let's start with a question so simple it almost feels like a prank, yet so heavy it can rattle everything you believe. What if reality itself isn't real? Pause on that. Think about what you call real. Every thought you've ever had, every memory that comforts you, every nightmare that jolted you awake, every heartbreak that hollowed you out, every laugh that left you breathless. All of these moments rest on one assumption, that the world you sense is the world that exists. But what if that assumption is false? What if your senses are unreliable? What if the very act of perceiving is like watching a movie, convincing, detailed, emotional, but still not the thing itself? What if real is nothing more than a long story told inside your head, repeated so often that you stopped questioning it? This isn't a new worry. Thousands of years ago, Plato imagined his cave. Prisoners chained from birth, unable to turn their heads, their entire lives reduced to shadows dancing on a wall. The prisoners believed those shadows were reality because they had no idea of the fire casting them, no concept of a world beyond stone. To them, the shadows weren't illusions. They were everything. Today, the cave has transformed. Scientists and philosophers wonder if we are prisoners too, not in stone, but in code. Could we be living inside a simulation? Think of the speed of technological growth. Computers calculating faster every year, virtual worlds becoming more realistic, artificial intelligence learning how to mimic thought. If progress continues, wouldn't it be possible to design a universe inside a machine so flawless that the people inside it could never suspect? Imagine a dream so vivid that every step echoes beneath your feet, every breath cools your lungs, every taste lingers on your tongue. A dream so convincing that you never wake up. How would you know? Could you ever know? And if reality is an illusion, what does that make you? Are you a soul temporarily plugged into a program? Or are you nothing more than lines of code, a puppet dancing on strings you can't see? Maybe even free will is an illusion within the illusion, part of the programming, a script designed to convince you that you're unscripted. Here's the strange part. Even if it's fake, it still feels real. The pain still burns. The joy still sparkles. The heartbeat still drums in your chest. Illusion or not, your body insists that it matters. And so the question deepens. If you can't trust reality, can you trust time? Or is time just another shadow on the cave wall? The flow of time. Time rules your life. It divides beginnings from endings, childhood from adulthood, first loves from final breaths. It slices memories into before and after. It marches forward, dragging you whether you resist or not. But what if time isn't what you think? What if the river you feel rushing beneath your feet has never moved? Einstein cracked open our everyday idea of time. He showed us that time is not fixed. It bends, stretches, slows. Near a black hole, gravity tugs at time itself until seconds crawl like hours. In empty space, time races differently than it does on Earth. Some physicists argue the past, present, and future all exist together. Imagine time not as a stream, but as a book lying open on a table. Every page is a moment. All pages exist at once. You're not drifting down the river, you're flipping through the book. The story isn't being written as you live it. It's already there, waiting. If this is true, your future isn't being created day by day. It already exists. Every word you'll speak, every mistake you'll regret, every joy you'll stumble into. They're already printed, just not yet read. Picture yourself not as a traveler moving through time, but as a flashlight beam sliding across frames of film. The movie is already shot. You're just watching it unfold. That thought bends the mind. If the future is already real, then maybe choice itself is an illusion. And if time is frozen, then maybe the you who believes you're flowing through it is an illusion too. The illusion of the self. Right now, you feel it, the invisible anchor behind your eyes. The voice inside your head that says, "This is me." But what if that I isn't real? What if the self you cling to is nothing more than a clever trick? Neuroscience keeps peeling the mask away. There is no single spot in the brain where you live, no glowing center, no throne for the soul. Instead, the brain is a storm, memories sparking, muscles twitching, hormones shifting, predictions firing. 1,000 processes happening at once, none of them you alone. To keep the chaos in check, your brain weaves a story. That story is the self you feel. A narrator pulling fragments together and pretending to be in control. But the narrator is just another illusion. The self is a magic trick, convincing, necessary even, but not the truth. So who is listening to me right now? Who is asking these questions? If the observer inside is just a story, then maybe no one is home. Maybe life is a movie playing to an empty theater, the illusion of a watcher baked into the film itself. And if the self is only a trick, then what about choice? What about the feeling that you decide, that you steer, that you move the world? That thought leads to the next fracture in the foundation: free will. The mystery of free will: we love to believe we're steering, that our hands are gripping the wheel. But what if the wheel isn't connected to anything? What if it's just bolted onto a car that already knows where it's going? Experiments reveal something eerie. When you decide to act, your brain has already begun the process before you're aware of it. A fraction of a second before you think I choose this, the choice is already unfolding in your neurons. You feel like you chose, but you're the last to know. Some argue this destroys free will. You're not the conductor of the orchestra. You're the audience, watching music that was already written long before you sat down. Your thoughts of choice are narration after the fact. If that's true, what does responsibility mean? If every word, every lie, every kindness, every crime is just dominoes falling since before you were born, then are you guilty of anything? Or are you innocent by default, watching a chain reaction you can't stop? And yet, even if free will is a mirage, the illusion still feels heavy. Choices feel like they matter. Regret still stings. Responsibility still shapes lives. The illusion has weight. But all illusions eventually point back to the deepest one. The question not just about you, but about the universe itself. Why is there something rather than nothing? The question of existence. Strip everything away: reality, time, self, choice, and what remains is the rawest, strangest question of all. Why is there anything? Why is there not simply emptiness, silence, nothing? The universe did not have to exist. Galaxies didn't have to whirl. Stars didn't have to ignite. Atoms didn't have to form. Consciousness didn't have to wonder. There could have been nothing, forever. But here it is. Here you are. Some say everything burst from a singularity, the Big Bang, space and time themselves exploding from a point of nothing. Others argue the universe has no beginning at all, stretching endlessly backward. Others still picture infinite universes bubbling up, each with its own laws, its own physics, its own beings. Science can describe how, but it cannot touch why. Why something instead of nothing? If existence exists, was it meant to? Is there purpose stitched into it all, or is purpose another story we invented to make it bearable? Maybe nothingness is impossible. Maybe something must exist because nothing cannot hold. If that's true, then existence itself is inevitable. But what does that mean for you, sitting here, a brief flicker of awareness floating inside a vast, unexplainable ocean? You are existence, staring back at itself. You are the question looking into the question. And this is where we leave it. These questions have no answers. Maybe they never will. Their power isn't in solving, but in stretching the mind, in making the ordinary strange again. As you drift to sleep, let them linger. Let them circle your thoughts like echoes in a canyon. Not to solve them, but to rest with them. To let them carry you deeper, softer, further into wonder. Rest in the mystery. Rest in the strangeness. Rest in the questions, scattered like stars across the dark, shining not because they explain, but because they remind you how much there is still to ask. Sleep well.